No, you're not. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to be doing a business class. This class is pretty much to tell you guys how to open up a barbershop, the different types of corporations that we're going to be dealing with if you guys decide to put it under a corporation. That was one of the things that we talked about, I think it was last week as well, where we talked about the differences, what benefits, what type of corporation you should have, and we're going to go a little bit more detail into it today. We're going to start off, I want to start off first of all with the new laws. There's some new laws that are coming into our industry that are really important, and you guys got to understand and got to know about these laws. One of them is already in effect this year. The other one is still being decided on how they're going to be regulating it. So we still haven't really pushed it in yet. Okay. The first one that I want to talk about is the one that actually took effect into effect this year. Everybody that does legal services or that does taxes received a letter from the government saying that in starting this year, you need to tell your people that this law is going to become in effect. Okay? So once they start sending out the letters to everybody, I'm telling you, because the tax person and the legal person that I know that does our stuff for our corporation, they told us about it. They said, hey, Omar, we received this letter, and this law just came into effect. It's going to affect all hairstylists. So just let all your students know, and for you guys to know as well. Okay? That one is called the AB5. For the ones that, well, let me get a highlighter thing. So the first one is the AB5. The AB5 pretty much it became into effect because of Uber, Lyft, and those drivers. What happened is that they started complaining a lot. Uber drivers started complaining a lot. For the people that were driving more than 40 hours, they take it as a full-time job. Because there's a lot of Uber drivers that were not doing it as a part-time. They were doing it as a full-time job. And what happened was that a lot of these Uber drivers at the end of the year were paying a lot of taxes because they were making a lot of money driving for Uber. But Uber was taking them also as an independent contractor. Any of you guys ever do Uber? Uber? How much do they deduct in taxes every paycheck? Nothing, right? They're independent contractors. They hire you, you work when you want to work, and you don't when you don't, right? At the end of the week, you get 100% of the money that your percentage.
Yeah,
of your other money.
They pay you 33%. That's nothing.
They pay you 32%?
They pay you 32%.
I thought it was way more than that.
Oh,
you're serious?
Yeah.
I always thought it was like way higher than that.
32%.
Man, that's low. Are you serious?
Serious?
I don't think that's 33%.
Who pays more, Lyft?
That's what they take?
No, they take maybe 33%.
Nah, for $15 ride, I used to get like $8. You told me what's that?
That's like 60%.
Yeah, they take a lot.
Yeah.
They give you like 40.
No. I doubt it, but all right, we'll leave it like that. After they deduct their percentage, Uber will deposit everything into your account. They don't take away taxes, they don't take away fees, they don't take away any other stuff, right? After they take away their part, right? So a lot of these drivers that were working more than 40 hours a week were making a lot of money. At the end of the year, they were paying a lot of taxes. And the problem with them is that some of them were actually taken as a full-time job. And what they were saying is like, hey, you know what? We're working for Uber sometimes 40 to 50 hours a week, but yet we don't have the benefits of Uber, right? And the benefits of being an employee. And that's what they wanted. They wanted Uber saying, hey, you know what? If we work for you more than 40 hours a week, you should treat us as an employee, not as an independent contractor. Why does that benefit? Anybody know? Yes.
Because at the end of the year, they don't have to pay all their taxes.
Okay, so at the end of the year, they don't have to pay that many taxes, right? They deduct it little by little. And what happens is that when you're an employee, every time that you get a paycheck, half of your deductions gets paid by the employer, right? So that's the way it works. In reality, as an employee, like for example, let's say, he works for me, right? So every time I pay him, there's gonna be an estimate of about 15% taxes. 7.5 will come from my pocket as the employer, 7.5 will come from his paycheck. Him as an independent contractor, 15% comes from his pocket, the employer doesn't pay anything because he's an independent contractor. So all these people that were working for Uber making that money, that's what they wanted. They wanted Uber to pay for that 50% of their benefits and 50% of their taxes so that they could pay for the other 50%. That's what they were working for, right? So they pushed it in, they talked about it, they had meetings, they complained, and eventually the government said, okay, you know what, let's do it. So they passed what is called AB 5. AB 5 now says that they have a couple more rules and regulations. People can still qualify to be an independent contractor, but they made it more harder. Okay? They made it more harder. So that took into effect because they don't really have, what happens is that they don't really have a specific category for independent contractors. The way the government sees it is if you're an independent contractor, you're an independent contractor. It doesn't matter if you're an Uber, if you're a truck driver, if you're landscaping, or if you're a photographer, or if you're a barber, or if you're a stylist. You're all under the category independent contractors. Okay? So when it affected one, it affected everybody. So what happened now is that the government made it a little bit harder, and what they want to do is they also want to keep more track of people, the income that they're making. As an independent contractor, you had a lot of ways of hiding money, especially in our industry. You know, in our industry, which is the beauty industry, we do a lot of cash stuff, and we know how to hide it really good. You know, so
Really?
yeah, you know, we'll talk later when it's not
For real?
recorded.
You're recording that, remember?
Wow. What a brain.
You know, no, like a lot of barbers, a lot of stylists, they know it's a lot of cash coming in, you know? And the big problem about it is that, yes, a lot of people don't report everything, but there are people that just don't report anything, you know? And that's the hard part. That's the part where the government is kind of getting fed up. Because there's people that just don't report anything. They're making a huge amount of money, you know? I'll give you guys an example. You know, I have a cousin, and I'm not gonna say no names. I have a cousin. This guy's a licensed barber. He's been a licensed barber for about 5 years now, 6 years now, maybe a little bit more. And this guy lives with his wife. They have 2 kids. They're about to have a 3rd kid. You know, she works part-time. He claims that he doesn't work at all, that he stays home watching the kids. In reality, he's been working at a shop full-time, making $1,400 or $1,500 cash a week and not reporting anything at the end of the year. You know, she reclaims her money and they get back like $7,000 at the end of the year in taxes or more, you know. So those are the kind of people that the government is looking at them and saying like, man, that's a lot of money, you know. This guy's saying he don't work, but, you know, and the thing about it is that he's getting cash. So how can they really catch him, you could say, right? So that's what's going on. And a lot of people are doing that. Not just him, a lot of people are doing it. And a lot of people are not reporting. A lot of people are saying they don't work throughout the whole year. You know, I feel like if everybody did their part, even if you don't report a lot or you don't report everything, but if you report something and you're making an account for it, I don't feel like we would be in this situation. You know, so that's one of the reasons why they did it. They did it for Uber. They did it because in reality, it's hard for them to keep track of the money that's coming in into the beauty industry. Okay, so they started what is called the AB 5. The AB 5 is the new rule. It pretty much just says that in order for you to be qualified as an independent contractor, they want to make sure that at the end of the year you have more than one 1099. If you only have one 1099, meaning like, let's say Sanji worked at my barbershop, and at the end of the year I gave him a 1099 from the gentleman's lady. He goes and does his taxes. The tax lady now has to say, okay, I need 2 of those for you to qualify as an independent contractor. If he only has 1, then I can get in trouble for that. He can get in trouble for that. Why? Because if he's only working at one barbershop throughout the entire year and he only has 1 income, how can you classify that as an independent contractor? So what they're saying is like, Sanji, you need to come and work at my barbershop, but you also have the ability to be able to freelance. Meaning you're working around, you're going to people's places. You can leave my shop and go do another job, right? It's kind of like, I always tell you, like landscaping, right? Landscaping, most people that do landscaping they don't cut one person's house and that's it, they're done. You know, landscaping, they go to this person's house, they go to this person's house, they do that job, they have a contract with the company, they go do, you know, that's what in reality what an independent contractor is. That they're in different locations doing the same job. Right? That's what they want from barbering and cosmetology and manicuring. You know, that's what they're requesting. They're requesting that in order for you to qualify as an independent contractor, you need to provide them with at least 2 1099s. Okay, saying, now you can say this, like for example, no, Sanji can say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna dedicate myself to your shop, but I'm gonna cut hair on the side at home. That's an independent contractor. Why? Because now when he does his taxes, he's gonna say, here's my 1099 from the gentleman's blade, and I'm gonna report that I did $2,000 cash at home. You know, because when I was working at the shop, I was free to go home and cut hair, or go somewhere else and cut hair. So independently as a freelancer, I did $2,000, but he has to report another income. You cannot report just one. Okay? Yes.
So is that, are they getting an hourly rate for their services?
No.
They're-
You could, I mean, honestly, as an independent contractor, you could pay them hourly, it just has to be in a contract, but you don't have to. You
so
can
they're
just leave it
collecting
as an
all the
independent.
money, so they're just giving you a rent?
Yes, that's usually for barbers and cosmetologists. When you consider yourself an independent contractor, it means that you're renting a station. Because either that or you're on commission. You know, commission, which is percentage, is a whole different ballgame now. You know, and the commissions, that's the next law that I'm gonna go into, the SB 490. I'll go into that one right now, how that's gonna be changing.
And I know that they were saying that if you sit for like more than an hour, you have to pay them an hour, even if they're renting. You
Yeah.
have to pay them
Well-
an hourly rate if they have no clients in their chair.
Not as an independent contractor yet. That's not what they're saying yet. You know, it's changing, you know. But as an independent contractor, as long as you're an independent contractor, you're liable for your own clientele. So whether you work or you don't work, that's up to you, because you're independent. That's what the whole word of independent contractor is. As commission, that's where they're starting to push in more, where it's like there's a minimum now. And that's what we're gonna cover, which is the SB 490. Okay, so as an independent contractor, again, we're looking at something where it's like, now you have to report 2 incomes at the end of the year, which is not that hard, first of all, okay? Second thing you need to do as an independent contractor is that now they're gonna be they wanna make sure that little by little, you start adapting into what a real independent contractor is, which means that you're gonna have your own business license. As a barber, as a licensed barber, they want you to have your own business license. Even if you're doing freelancing or whatever it is, you need to have your own tax ID number for your own business, which is Sanji's Barbershop, you know, that's his business. He needs to create his own identity now as a barber, okay? So that's one thing they do want you to do. They want to make sure that you guys have, which is called your EIN number, right? So you need to make sure that you get your own EIN number to be able to report your taxes as a business. You're an independent contractor, you're considered to be your own business, okay? Alright, so those are some of the things that they want you to do. It's not changing a lot, but it is changing a little bit. And it's just, what they're doing is they want to kind of enforce a little bit more laws, so it's not that easy for people to hide their money, okay? Okay, so that's the AB5. That's the way to work it. That's the way to go around it. Is report 2 incomes, have your own EIN number, report yourself as if you're an independent contractor, have your own business stuff. What I would recommend you guys is have your own workman's comp insurance as well. You know, have your own liability insurance as well. You know, if you're an owner, you can actually, if even a barber, let's say Sanji, once he gets his license, he can go to somebody that provides insurance and say, hey, you know what? I want to protect myself. I want to have liability insurance. So in case I cut somebody, in case somebody sues me, in case somebody gets damaged, in case I hurt somebody, you know, I want to have protection. And to be honest with you, personal liability insurance for professionals is not that expensive. You know, sometimes I've heard is that it could be as low as $300 a year. You know, $300 a year and you can be protected. You be protected, the owner of your shop gets protected. You know, it's not that expensive if you really look around. Yes.
So they require the workers' comp as well?
They don't require it yet, but not the workman's comp, I was gonna say, it's the liability insurance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I require all my stylists have their own liability
Yeah.
insurance.
And that's the appropriate way of doing it, you know? Most barbers that work in a barbershop don't do that, you know? And in reality, yes, the owners should require their barbers to have their own liability insurance. Because since you're an independent contractor, or even if you work at a shop, you wanna have that double protection. Like for example, let's say you do commission, I'm assuming.
No, I do.
You rent out the stations? Okay, so even if you do commission, as commission, you can have double liability insurance. You know, as commission, I can have my own protection with my employees, and then they can have their own protection as well. So you have two protections at once, okay? So there's nothing wrong with having, and again, sometimes, and depending on where you're at and stuff like that, it can be $300 a year. $300 a year makes a huge difference.
I think it's 240 something.
Yeah, it just depends where you're at. It goes by the area, you know, because some areas are more higher, you know, risk, I will say, risk, you know, so it goes by the area a lot. But it's not that expensive, okay? So I would suggest you guys look into that. Look into having your own liability insurance as soon as you become a licensed professional, okay? All right, so that's the AB5. The next one that I want to look into a little bit is going to be the SB 490. Okay. SB 490, it officially passed, but hasn't been enforced yet. They haven't sent out the memos yet. They haven't said how it's going to be registered, how they're going to enforce it. This is where it gets a little bit more trickier, and this is where it kind of focuses a lot more on barbers, stylists, cosmetologists, nail salons, and stuff like that. Okay. So the SB 490 kind of goes back to what you were talking about earlier, where they're saying that they want to pretty much eliminate commission.
Thank you.
They want to eliminate commission because commission is really based upon like, there's no guarantee of money for a licensed professional. That's the way they see it. If you work, you make money. If you don't work, you don't make money. You know, that's commission. If I tell Lilia, I'm like, hey Lilia, you know, I'm gonna hire you in commission, you're gonna get 50% of what you make. What if a whole day passes by and no clients come in?
I get 50% of zero.
You get 50% of zero, how much is that?
Zero.
You know, half a zero. You don't get the full zero, you get the half a zero.
Zero, sorry.
You know, so it's like, that's what that's what they're fighting, you know? They're saying that if somebody comes in at commission and they do nothing the whole day because there's no clients, then at the end of the day, they get zero money for their hours that they work for you. Because in reality, as commission, you're still working for me. You're an employee, per se. You know, you're not a freelancer, you're not independent, you're working at my shop under my schedule, because I give you a schedule, commission people have a schedule, right? So you're still in reality working for my business, but you're not making anything at the end of the day. So people were saying that it's not fair. So this is how SB 490 comes in. Okay. And I'm gonna need somebody's help that's good at math. So, let's say in commission, what they're saying is this. Let's say if I hire Lillian as commission, and I tell her, hey Lily, you're gonna get 50%, no, let's say you're gonna get 60% of commission, right? So, now the SB 490 says that there's a minimum wage standard now, right? A minimum, let's say I hire,
Really?
Wow.
I'm really bad with names, man. Hold on. I'm recording here, man. You have to tell me your name fast.
You've known me for years.
I know. Karen.
Wow.
We'll come back to you right now. You know, let's say I heard Karen, and I'm gonna pay Karen hourly wage.
Rosie.
Rosie, there you go. And I'm gonna pay Karen an hourly wage. I just remember because I saw her earlier today. So, I'm gonna pay Karen an hourly wage, right? What is her hourly wage? Minimum wage. Let's say I tell her, hey, you're gonna get paid the minimum wage. What's her minimum wage?
Depending where you're at, some $12.50, some $14.
Right here in California.
Well, if you're a different
How big is your business?
There's two ways of paying somebody a minimum wage, right? 25 or less employee, what's your minimum wage? 25 or less employees is still $12 an hour. 25 or bigger employees, it's 14, 15? What is it, 15? 14.50? Okay, 14.50, right? So if you're working for a company and when they have more than 25 employees, their minimum wage is 14.50. Under 25 employees, they can still keep you at $12, okay? So I only have 3 barbers. So how much is Karen getting? $12 if I'm paying her minimum wage. According to SB 490, damn, that's one of your race. According to SB 490, that's gonna change. According to SB 490, their minimum their minimum wage is $24 an hour.
What the heck? Really? Is it?
Anybody in the state of California that's a licensed professional, your minimum wage is 2 times the standard of minimum wage in that place where you're at. Okay? That's what the state of California says, you know, and that's the SB 490. They're saying, if I'm gonna hire Karen because she's a licensed professional and she went to school for it and she has a state license, her minimum wage will now be $24 an hour. Okay?
You keep tips too and all that too?
Yeah, that's taxed separately. You would pay them, I mean, that's, most of the times, to be honest with you, people should always keep their tips. But everybody has their own contracts, you know. Supercuts, everybody has their own way of dealing with tips, you know. So you gotta find out what their contract is.
But do the tips contribute to that $24 an hour from the
No.
employers? Okay.
Yeah, that's separate. Okay, so SB 490 says minimum wage for anybody with the license in the state of California, minimum wage is $24 an hour. Okay? Now, going back to Lily, right? I hired Lillian at commission. She's gonna be getting 60%, right? Let's say Lillian comes in and she works 40 hours for me as commission, right? So if she's working 40 hours for me, let's say at commission, she made, let's say out of the 40 hours, let's say in commission you brought in $600. We'll make it easy, right? In commission, you made $600. That's what you sold the whole week in 40 hours a week, right? So, but now because of SB 490, by law, I have to pay you a minimum wage, even if you're in commission. So that means that you already made $600 in commission. What's 40 times 24?
960.
960,
Oh, my bad.
right? So your minimum wage standard is 960 for those 40 hours. But you only made 600. That means the owner has to pay you the difference out of pocket. Which is what? 360. So that's the way SB 490 works. SB 490 says, you're on commission, okay, if you made 600, you can't pay somebody 600. You gotta pay them their minimum wage, which is $24 an hour, which means 360 is gonna come out of pocket from the owner to make sure that Lilia, no matter what, gets 960 minimum.
And
Yeah.
that's,
Even if their contract was to be on commission?
Yeah. Because now you're paying somebody, it's like, for example, can I hire Sanji and pay him under California minimum wage?
Technically.
It's illegal, right?
It's like with waitresses or like wait staff, if they don't meet the minimum wage with their tips, or I guess it is different here, but in Texas, it's like $2.13 an hour, and if you, which is well below the federal minimum wage, but you get tips, but if you don't get enough tips, then they have to pay you the federal minimum wage. It's
Have a
7%.
difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have to pay the difference.
Yeah, same thing, pretty much, you know. So that's what they want, that's the SB 490 is coming into play, you know. And again, they still haven't officially promoted out. If you guys look it up, it says that it passed, but they're not really pushing it yet because they're still trying to figure out how they're gonna enforce this. You know. Yeah,
So the difference between like a manicurist or a barber or a stylist pricing, even though they're all on that same plane for the licensed professional to get the $24 an hour, that could be pretty detrimental to a salon.
yes, and I would say, I mean, honestly, yes and no. Because at the end of the day, I feel like if you're a manicurist, I feel like no matter what, people tend to break things down to hourly. You know, even if you get paid percentage, or if you get paid commission, or rent, or whatever it is, I feel like us naturally at the end of the day, we always want to break it down to how much am I making an hour? You know, like when I was paying rent and I was renting a station, that's what I would do. I was like, okay, I got to do 2 haircuts to be able to make this much an hour. Because that's at the end of the day, that's what matters to you. How much are you making an hour? Even if you're renting booths. And I think even as a manicurist, it's the same thing. You end up breaking it down to like, okay, how much am I making an hour? You know? And I feel like in reality, as a licensed professional, whether you're a manicurist or a barber or a stylist, you should be making at least $24 an hour. You know? If you're not making at least $24 an hour, there's something wrong where you're at. You know? Because honestly, like the way I see it is like as a barber, you know, let's say I'm renting a booth, or let's say even I'm in commission. Most barbers tend to get 70% of their commission, right? What's 70% of 20? 14? Let's say if I do 2 haircuts in 1 hour, that's $28 an hour. So I'm already making more than your minimum wage standard. You know, so as a stylist, same thing. You're gonna break it down to like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do somebody's hair. You know, I'm gonna charge them $120. It's gonna take me 3 hours to get it done. So breaks it down to $40 an hour minus my commission. It's gonna be okay. I'm making about $30 an hour. You know, so I think at the end of the day, if you're doing a good job and you're pushing it, you're not lazy, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, $24 an hour shouldn't be a problem. You know, I mean, that's the way I see it, right? But again, that's SB 490. That's where they're going to, to set a standard minimum wage, which is double the whatever minimum wage you're in, to set it at $24 an hour. If you're doing commission, whatever percentage has to add up to a minimum wage of 40 hours an hour anyways. So, I think commission eventually is gonna benefit employees. It's gonna benefit the barbers and stylists. Why? Because no matter what, you're guaranteed a minimum wage. And if you make more, you get to keep it. Let's say in 1 week in a commission at keeping 60-70% of your work, let's say you make $1,200. Just keep it. You don't have to get back to the owner and say, hey, I made extra money, let me give you this money back because I already got my minimum. It's not gonna work like that. If you make extra money, you met your quota. If you didn't, then the owner has to pay out of pocket.
No, it's okay, leave it.
Okay? Alright,
I didn't do that.
any questions about these two laws?
That's not for booth rental, right?
Thank you.
The SB 490 doesn't really push the booth rental. The AB 5 is the one that pushes the booth rental, the one we were covering earlier.
Thank you.
Okay, so now that we established those two laws, I want to move on to opening a business. Eventually, everybody's going to want to open up a business, right? Everybody wants to open up a barbershop. Everybody wants to open up a salon. Everybody wants to open up a business. These are the things that you guys have to have in order for you to have a fully licensed business, okay? You don't want to mess around and not get a license. You don't want to open up a business, invest all your money, all your time, all your effort, and at the end of the day, are missing licenses or are missing permits. And somebody can come and close you down, right? It's happened before. I knew a barbershop in Linwood that got the location, opened up, they were running it. They were running for about 2 years with the city license. They went and got the city permits. They never registered it with state board because the owner didn't even know about it. He thought he could just have to register with the city. He got up, started his business, promoted it, everything. State board eventually one day showed up. 2 years later, closed them down the same day.
2 years later.
2 years later, because sometimes state board doesn't show up. Sometimes it could take state board 4 or 5 years to show up. When was the last time state board showed up at your place, Ron?
About 4 months ago in my Palm Springs location and the Brea one about a year ago.
About a year ago. And before that?
I've had my shop for 26 years and that was the first time that they come here about a year ago.
Very long time, Yeah, most of the time, state board doesn't show up unless somebody calls them or unless they haven't done anything with you for a very long time and they happen to be around your neighborhood, Most of the times if they're down the street, they see your shop, they haven't been there for years, they'll swing by to see how everything's going. But they could show up a month after you open, Again, state board is never a set date,
Yeah,
you're never gonna know.
Palm Springs one, they showed up, I think it was 10 months after I opened.
After you open, yeah. As in Southgate, when I opened my shop, I think they showed up. I think it was 4 months, 3 months after I opened. And then they show up again until another 4 years later. And in reality, they only showed up because they were hitting that whole block. Like State Board was just hitting that whole block, going from shop to shop to shop to shop. So that's the reason why they showed up. It wasn't because somebody called it or anything like that. They find everything good, they see that you're not dealing with any bad issues or anything like that, they leave you alone for a long time again. If they find a lot of people, let's say working without a license, or the shop is filthy, and they have a lot of violations, you're gonna have them right there back maybe within a month. So you wanna make sure, I always tell everybody, keep your shop like if State Board were to walk in that day. do a walkthrough. As the owner, you wanna do a walkthrough all the time. You know, pretend like, okay, I'm state board, what am I looking for? Look for things that state board might be looking at. You know, look for things because at the end of the day, it's not even so much about the fines or about the money, it's about being red flagged. That's more important than paying it. Because anybody can pay $500, $400 in fines. But if you get red flagged because you have so many little things wrong, then they're gonna be on you over and over and over again.
They can close your place?
They can close it if they find a lot of multiple times as citations. You know, I think they give you 3 warnings of stuff. Once they pass the 3 warning, the 3rd warning, they'll shut you down. Okay? All right, so first thing, let's say you're thinking about opening up a business, right? So Rosie, I remember her name. Rosie decides to open up a business. She's like, I'm ready, you know, I already got my practice. I've been working at a barbershop for at least 2 years. I have clients. I learned everything, so now I'm ready to open up a business, right? What is the first thing I want to do? Anybody? Okay, so you have a business plan, right? First thing you do, you're gonna sit down, organize it, right? You're gonna put your business name and you're gonna do what is called a business plan, right? You put out your business plan that's gonna have everything in writing, which is how much money you're gonna invest, where you're gonna get your stations from, what locations are you looking at, you know, you're gonna put everything together in writing. So you can have it there in order for you to go back to it if you need to, right? So you have a business plan. After you create a business plan, what's your next step?
Promote.
So first thing you want to do is call your DBA. Also known as?
Doing business.
Right? DBA stands for doing business as. Meaning, what is your name that you're gonna be using to conduct business? Also known, the legal term for it is gonna be fictitious name. Meaning a name that you're making up, right? So my DBA is Master Academy, and my other DBA is the Gentleman's Blade, right? That's me doing business as Master Academy. Me doing business as the Gentleman's Blade. So the first thing you wanna do is register your name. Because that name is you're gonna need it for everything else that you do. Anytime you wanna register something, you're gonna sign a lease, you're gonna do whatever it is, you wanna have that DBA, okay? The DBA is really easy to get and is very inexpensive, and you don't even need a location yet. Cause you can always go back and change the location address.
And you register with the state, right? The
County.
The county?
Yes. So this one, the DBA is gonna be county. And this one, usually you're gonna go to a place called the Register of, County of Registrars, is that what it's called? County of what is it?
Registrar.
Registrar?
Okay,
I always can't say that word.
Yeah, it's AR at the end.
County of Registrars, something like that. You know, but it's a county, and it goes by county. So one thing you wanna remember is like, if example, let's say you plan to expand, and this is where your business plan comes in handy, because let's say you wanna expand later on. And you're like, you know what, I wanna go to Orange County, I wanna be in LA County, and I wanna be in, you know, different counties, Riverside or whatever it is, right? You wanna go to different counties, you might wanna register it in all the counties at the same time. Because, for example, let's say I open up a Master Academy in LA County, and somebody in Orange County is like, dude, I love that name. And they wanna open up a business over there, my name is only registered in LA County. They can open up another Master Academy in Orange County, okay? So you gotta think ahead of the game, right? So if you wanna register with Orange County and LA County just to be on the safe side, register it. You don't need anything, okay? You can just go to the County of Registrars and register your DBA. You can put your home address and then later on change it when you actually have a physical address, okay? How much is it to get your DBA?
$33.
$33 in most places. It takes $33 for you to register your name. How long do you keep your name for? 5 years. Okay, so for 5 years, you own your name for $33. Nobody else can take that name from you now, right? So first thing you want to do, register your DBA. Okay, what is the second thing? You already got your DBA. You register it, so you're good for 5 years, you pay your $33. What's the next thing you wanna do?
Seller's permit.
We're gonna skip over the seller's permit for now. I know before we used to do that, but now it's something else. Next thing we're gonna do is location, right? We're gonna start looking for your location. We're gonna start looking for your location. What about your location that you're gonna look at? First thing you wanna do is go to the city hall, wherever it is that you're gonna open it, right? Let's say I like Long Beach, right? I like Long Beach, so but to avoid you guys some time wasting, save you guys some time, go to the city first and do what is called zoning. Zoning means that every city has their own zones where they allow certain type of businesses. Cause you could drive around all day, get an address, be like, oh, I love that location, and I'm telling you because I've seen this happen to a lot of people. They come over here, they're like, oh man, that's a beautiful location, it's busy, I like it. They call the owner drives down here, they look at it, they go inside, they start talking contract, all this stuff. They go to the city hall and they're like, hey, you know what, I open a barbershop right here. Oh, that's not a zoning for barbershops. They just shut down your whole dream. There's certain zones that they don't allow barbershops. There's certain zones where they're industrial, A lot of times it's an industrial zone. So they don't allow barbershops or salons, okay? So you wanna go to the city and just figure out like, okay, you know what, you can walk up to the counter and say, hey, I wanna clear zoning. You can walk up to them and say, hey, you know what, I wanna open a barbershop, I just wanna know what zone should I start looking at. And they'll tell you, like anything here, they'll give you a map. And they'll say, look, everything here, zone this, zone that, you can open a barbershop with no worries. Zoning, okay? So once you have a map of the city, now you can start driving around and looking for a location. Because again, you don't want to get a location, meet up with the owner, he comes down, he shows you everything, and then at the end, you can't even open it there. Okay? So go through zoning first. Get your zoning clearance. How much is zoning? It's usually from $20 to $50. So it's not that expensive. Sometimes they do it over the counter, If you have an address, you can go over there and be like, hey, you know what, I found this place, I just want to clear it through zoning. They'll clear it for you sometimes over the counter. They'll charge you whatever it is, and they'll give you a paper saying that address that you're giving them is good to go. So you clear zoning. All right, now when we're talking about the location, let's talk a little bit about the lease. Okay? Signing a good lease is really important for you guys. You want to make sure, number one rule is make sure that you guys go prepared. Go prepared means that the day before, you're going to sit down and make a list of things that you want to ask. Because there's so many people that I've seen that they show up, they get super excited, they start looking at everything, and they completely forget to ask all the questions they had in mind. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure you go prepared. Put a list together, like put outlets, plumbing, check for the water, check for AC. Can they test the AC? How's the roofing? When was the last time it was repaired? How's the parking? Have a list of things that you want to check in the building ready to go when you get there. Because if you don't, trust me, the excitement of opening up a business will make you blind to certain things. So you want to have a list of things better. Go prepared. It makes a big difference. Okay? Check the outlets. Ask them, like, hey, can I check the outlets to make sure that they work? Honestly, like I've seen people that go, they get a location, they sign the lease, and the whole side of the wall doesn't work in outlets. Now it's their job to figure out where the plug is at, where it went wrong, what wires messed up, and that can cost you a couple $1,000s. Electrical is not cheap. Plumbing is not cheap. So you want to make sure that when you go with the mentality of have a checklist of things that are getting ready to go work. Okay? One of the things that you want to look for is, again, have everything else in writing. I tell people all the story all the time. It's a funny story. Kind of hurts me, but it's funny. When I signed my lease at the Gentleman's Blade, when I signed, it's funny. When I signed my lease at the Gentleman's Blade, they did me dirty, the owner. What he did is I met up with them, I looked at the location, I had my list, we went through the whole thing, everything was nice, I liked the location, we worked out the deal on the floor, everything was good. And then I asked him at the end, I'm like, okay, I'm like, cool, like, so where's the trash? And he goes out to the back, he's like, oh, there's a trash can right there in the back. And I was like, okay, cool, it was a big, industrial trash cans. So I'm like, okay, cool. So, we signed the lease, we start working on stuff. I'm remodeling, so I'm throwing all this trash into the trash can. I think it was on like my third, fourth day that I was there remodeling. I walk outside to throw trash, and the guy, there's 3 units. And the guy from the 3rd unit, which is like a Pokemon place, they have like Pokemons, and they sell cards, and they battle each other and stuff like that. So the owner comes out, and he looks, and he's all like, hey. I'm like, what's up? And he's all like, why are you throwing trash in there? And I'm like, it's a trash can, And he's all like, yeah, but that's my trash can. And I was like, what do you mean your trash can? And he's all like, yeah, like that trash can belongs to me. I pay $120, $130 a month to have a trash can here. And I was like, are you serious? I'm like, the owner told me that this was a trash can. And he's like, nah, that's my trash can. I paid for that. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm sorry about that. So I'm all mad. I call the owner. I'm all like, hey, man, like, you told me the trash can was in the bag. What's going on? They told me I can't use it. And he's like, yeah, that's the guy's trash can. I was like, yeah, but when I asked you where's the trash can, you said in the bag. He's like, yeah, I told you there's a trash can in the bag. I never said it was yours. And I was like, are you serious? I'm like, so where am I supposed to throw the trash? And he's all like, well, work it out with them. Maybe you can pay half of the bill and he'll let you use it. And I was like, ugh. And then I looked at my lease and there's nothing there about a trash, So you want to look at stuff like that, because at the end what ended up happening is the guy who started throwing, I guess they were doing oil changes in the back somewhere, and he started throwing cans of oil into the trash. The trash can people came, saw that, they reported it to the city, and the city banned us from having a trash can, So now I can't even pay for it, and even if I did want to pay for it, we're looking at about $130 a month extra that I would have to pay just to have a trash can.
You don't have a trash can?
We don't have a trash can. So now the cleaning people have to take the trash with them and they discard it somewhere else,
En las calles, en el freeway.
in the streets. We throw it away in the streets. No, yeah, and it sucks, like, I was like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, dude, I never told you had a trash can. You asked me where the trash was at, I said in the back, And I was like, that's not right, But again, that's my fault as well. Because since it doesn't happen, it hadn't happened to me before, I assumed that that's what it was, So,
You said that you guys got banned, like, so with that can, it's like for 7 years or it's forever?
I don't know, I haven't gone back.
How long has
So,
it been?
It's been like 4 years, so, but yeah, and then that's another thing too, really quick, I don't know if we covered it with you guys, but those sharp containers?
For the blades?
For the blades, you're not allowed to throw those in the trash, right? If you guys are throwing those blades in the trash can, and they find out, the trash people, let's say they see it as they're throwing it away, they report you to the city, and again, they can ban you guys from having the trash, and they can cite you guys for that. Okay? So just really quick, for the proper way of discarding the sharp containers is there's 2 ways. One, you can hire a company, which is the waste management, disposal of sharps, needles, and containers and stuff like that. They come to you, they pick it up for a fee. It's not that expensive. They pick it up for a fee. It could be every 6 months, They come in, they pick it up, and then they discard it, and they leave you a note, like a document saying that you're doing it the proper way. Or number 2,
What is that called?
it's a sharps disposable, sharps
Biohazard.
management, I don't know, biohazard, something. It's something biohazard, sharps disposable, I don't know.
Just Google it.
I don't know exactly, because I never did it. So the way I did it, the way I would do it,
An estimate, you would say?
I have no idea. That's my estimate. The way I do it is, there's a lot of county hospitals that take them for free. So once your sharp container gets full, and I would recommend you guys get a big one, so you're not using that little one and going all the time. Just get a big sharp container. At the end of the year, go to any county hospital, and they have those big bins that are sharp containers. And you can actually just throw it in there, and it's free.
Also,
They do that.
cities do cleanups and things like that too, like
Yeah.
times a year.
Yeah, they do electrical and bio waste
Yeah.
materials. So yeah, and look it up for your city too, because every city does that. Sometimes they do it at the park, sometimes they do it in different locations, but they do electrical and biohazard waste material pickups. So where you can just go over there, no questions asked, just leave it, and they throw it away for you. Okay? Because honestly, you got to think about it this way, and I see a lot of people, a lot of barbers that throw away their blades inside of a soda can, inside of a bottle, plastic bottle. Trust me, I've seen that a lot. Gatorade bottles. But you got to think about is that sometimes the people that are picking up the cans and the bottles they do it like late at night when there's no light. You know, and a lot of times they squeeze them or they try to squeeze them with their hand. And if you put blades in there, you know, somebody can get cut with that. So you want to, you know, think about stuff like that. Like you can't be selfish and just think about, okay, I'm just going to get rid of it the easy way. You know, honestly,
They don't use gloves?
a lot of times they do, sometimes they don't. I mean, I've seen older people that don't use gloves while they're digging through the trash. You know, I've seen like right there in my house, in my neighborhood, it's like 4 in the morning and they have like the flashlights and it's like an older couple and they're going through the trash cans looking for cans. You know, so stuff like that is what makes you think, like, do you really want to throw razor blades in there? You know, so just kind of pre-think about that stuff. Who had a hand up? Yeah?
Yeah, so, damn, why are you guys saying
Well, you're asking.
So this is like a box that I seen in LA, like by Silver Lake, where they have like sharp disposables, like a little container.
Yeah.
You can throw them in.
Yeah.
What would you recommend putting sharp disposables in? Like, you know, like besides water bottle, like
They sell
bottles
them.
or whatever?
They actually sell Sharps containers. I would recommend you buying something that's
Buy the
adequate for that.
container And throw it in there, because I've never opened it or anything like that. Is it like big enough for you to put it in there?
Oh yeah, it's kind of like the mailboxes. You know how the mailboxes, once you drop something in there, you can't get it out no more until they open the big doors in the back. You know, so it's similar to that. They're made specifically so that people can't reach in there and take out, you know, Sharps.
Don't you have one over there in the back?
Huh?
Don't you have one like right there in the back?
We have a bigger one, but we don't have like the big one. But again, you know, if you go to, for example, if you know where you can get them for cheap too is at medical supply stores. You know, where they sell like medicine and stuff like that. A lot of those places, they have the needle ones for your people to use at home. And you can get like a big old Sharp container for like $8, $7. And that big bottle of Sharp container, if you have it in your station, it's gonna last you a couple of years. You know, I had one for maybe 4 years, I think. And I never filled it up all the way, because these things are big, and our blades are really small and thin. So, you know, it's just kind of like makes it easier for you to get rid of that, okay? All right, let's keep going. So, on the lease, again, just go prepared, go ready to be able to, go ready to meet up with them, go ready to talk to them about everything, have everything in writing, okay? Have everything in writing, where your trash is located, your bills, what's gonna be covered, what's not gonna be covered. All right, one last thing that I want you guys to look at when you're looking at the lease is something called triple net. Okay? How many of you guys heard of triple net? What is triple net?
No. Maintenance.
It's maintenance, right? Triple net is maintenance, right? When you guys see it in the contract, it's gonna have 3 capital N's, or it might actually say triple net. Is that triple with 2 P or 1 P? 1 P, right? There's something look wrong. Right? Triple net. It might actually have it spelled out, right? And all it means is maintenance, right? Like for example, in this shopping center, and most shopping centers, they try to push triple net on you. Triple net means maintenance. And a lot of times, I can show you guys the contract that I have for here. I think it's like 22 pages long, the contract for here. Triple net is on page like 13, right in the middle, you know, of everything. But of course, you're gonna initial every page, saying that you went through it, right? So triple net could be something that can be very expensive for you without even knowing it, until you get your first rent bill, right? Triple net could be sometimes from 50 cents a square foot, up to 75 cents a square foot, up to $1 a square foot, right? Do you pay triple net where you're at? Or what's your square?
Both places.
How much is your triple net?
65 on one, and I think 70 on another, and then at the end of the year, if it's short, then they give you a assessment bill at the end
Yeah,
that's divided by
whatever
each
amount.
individual unit.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if there's vacancies, that vacancy is divided up between units. that are
Everybody else.
occupied.
Yeah, so, you know, I always tell people, like, just put yourself in a situation where, let's say you're paying 75 cents a square foot for triple net, right? So you look at the building, let's say you like this building right here, and you're like, man, this building's 1,000 square feet. The owner's like, you know what, I'm gonna give you a really good deal. I'm gonna give it to you at $1.50 a square foot, which is super cheap. You're like, man, $1.50 a square foot, it's a good deal. You know, what's $1.50 times 1,000 square feet?
1,500.
$1,500. So you're like, your rent's $1,500, man, that's a great deal. You know, for 1,000 square foot location, Then you get your first bill, and it said 75 cents a square foot without you even knowing it, without acknowledging it. You're paying 75 cents for triple net per square foot. How much is 75 cents on 5,000? $750 extra every month. So now you're paying $1,500 plus $750 for your triple net. How much is your rent?
A lot more.
1,500 times 750. $2,250. So your rent went from having $1,500 where you're like, yes, I got a bargain, to your first bill coming in at $2,250.
Like-
Saying, damn, I got suckered. You know? It changes a lot, right? And triple net is not something where it's like next year, next month, you can be like, oh, I don't want to pay it. Like, no, once you sign a contract, whatever amount of contract years you're from, you're locked in, your triple net is locked in as well. Now, I'm gonna tell you one thing, triple net can be negotiated, you know? And I'm telling you because here we negotiated, at my other building, not General Grade, the other one that I had, we negotiated, you know, and we brought it down. Or sometimes you could work out a number where it's like per square foot for the rent, including your triple net, you know? Sometimes they'll go lower on your square footage or your per square foot just to keep your triple net in there as well. So you can negotiate, you know? You can say, and the main thing is ask them. Because a lot of landowners will not even tell you about it. They'll kind of keep it hiding until you sign the contract. And then they might bring it up, okay? So what you want to do is when you go meet up with them, tell them, how much is it per square foot? It's $1.50. Do you guys have a triple net? And if they do, they're gonna tell you. They're not gonna hide it from you. You know, they're not gonna say.
It can trick you too by saying it's, you know, $1 or 50 cents a square foot, but then you gotta look and see if they charge you any
Yeah.
overage if they split.
Yeah.
So now your 50 cents could be 90.
Yeah, yeah.
And if the garden goes up in rate, or the water bill was used more for the common area, or the lights, or something went out, or an electrical problem, anything outside of your walls becomes now
Your responsibility as well, yeah. And that's the thing about it, that's the problem with triple net. That's why I try to avoid triple net as much as I can. Because honestly, at the end of the day, yeah, you're gonna pay, if somebody, let's say, I'll give you an example. We moved in, right? We use a lot of water. We're doing shampoo bowls all day, people are washing their mannequins all day. Guess what? Their water bill just went up a lot more. So now everybody here that pays for the water, because we don't pay for water, it's part of the triple net. Now everybody that's around us, their bill went up on triple net because we use more water, you know? So those are the things that you wanna look at when you're doing a contract. Be very clear with them, ask them, like, do you guys have triple net? Yes. How else can my price increase? You know, and if you can, get it in writing. Tell them to put it in writing. Price will include triple net and no other charges, you know? Get stuff in writing, cause that's what's really gonna help you out at the end, okay? So when you guys have a lease, have everything in writing, and always ask about triple net. Even if you're not in a shopping center, you know. I have my friend owns a barbershop, it's a street barbershop, there's 3 units, she pays triple net. And I told her, I'm like, why do you pay triple net? Like, there's no shopping center, there's no parking lot, there's no maintenance, you know? And she's like, I don't know, but I just do. You know, that was her answer, like, I don't know, they don't do anything, you know, but I pay triple net. Okay?
Why do most people just choose to do that? Like, why would most people choose to do that?
Choose to do what?
Paying on triple net.
Because they don't have a choice, first of all. You know, a lot of times they just tell you like, it's included, and if you want to take it, if not, then don't take it, you know?
And
A lot of times, yeah.
the leases are designed to protect the owner.
Oh yeah, all the time.
It's not designed to protect.
But the owner has to clean up, right? I mean,
There's nothing in writing where they're gonna ever put, like, your parking lot will be cleaned once every day, and trash will, they're not gonna write that on there, you know? Like you said, you know, the leases are meant to protect the owners at all times. You know, when we signed the lease for the location next door, I got to realize how the owner was here. So when we signed the lease to get that new location, I told Laura, I was like, look, Laura, we gotta understand that we're going into this lease with us being responsible for everything. Because the landlord here he puts it on the contract where he's like, I'm not gonna take care of the roof, I'm not gonna take care of the AC, I'm not gonna take care of your windows, I'm not gonna paint the walls outside, I'm not gonna fix anything, walls, cracks, anything around the building. Like, he literally puts all that stuff in writing. So I told him, like, look, when we get this building, Just realize that everything will be our responsibility, like we have no landlord, you know? So, you gotta go in
On a
that.
building you don't own,
Huh?
on a building that you do not own.
Yeah, exactly, you know?
could be
You're responsible for the whole building, but you just don't own it.
On a building.
Actually, that's everywhere too.
No, you know what, honestly, there isn't, because, for example, the other business, when I had Under the Blade, which was on Tweety as well, that one, the management was super cool, like, that one, our AC broke down, they changed it. Our roofing was messed up, they changed it. Our gate got messed up, or the gate was broken, they changed it. You know, the owner was on top of everything, and he was fixing everything. Once a year, he would repair the roof, whatever leaks were there. He hired people to come in at least twice a year to change the filters on the AC systems.
And
You
you
know?
pay triple net?
I didn't pay triple net on that one.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
you're lucky.
And that's the one I negotiated on. But, you know, again, it's, everywhere is different. You know, you wanna look for that stuff. Sometimes you're gonna run into great people that own it, and sometimes you run into people that are horrible at it, you know? So, it goes by luck a lot of times, okay? Alright, so you got the lease, you got the location, you got the DBA, you clear zoning, what's next? Okay, so at this point, I would recommend you guys just to get your resale license. Now they made it easier. Before you used to actually like go to the Board of Equalization and you had to apply for it. They would ask you for your ID, they would ask you for your tax ID number, they would ask you for all that stuff. Now they made it a lot easier. Now you can do all that stuff online. You know, now you can go on the Board of Equalization website, apply for your resale license, input all your information, and print it out on the spot, your resale license. Okay? Board of Equalization. So this one's done through the BOE. Board of Equalization. Okay? How much is a resale license?
Free.
It's free. Why is it free? Because at the end of the year, when you do your resale license and you want to keep it active, you got to pay your portion of the taxes, right? This is for things like, for example, you're selling gel. If you're selling gel at the end of the year, like for example us, we recorded to our resale license. We had to go onto the Board of Equalization, and we reported that we sold, I think it was like $1,400 in supplies, right? So then we have to pay a percentage for taxes for the supplies that we sold. And that's where people charge you taxes on stuff. You sell it, you give it to them, and then they distribute it to whatever city it is that you're purchasing it from. Wherever you're located, pretty much, right? So let's say I'm in Long Beach, what's the tax rate right here, in Long Beach?
It's really high, it's like
11%?
It's like
Okay.
the highest thing.
It's like 20%, huh? So let's say Long Beach, that's 11%. Every time you buy something, you pay taxes, right? Every time you buy a product, you pay taxes. At the end of the year, that store has to report that to the Board of Equalization. The Board of Equalization looks at it, gets all the money, realizes where the person is coming from, and they send the city a percentage of it. Okay? That's what a resale license is.
Do you pay taxes quarterly, or do you have to pay it at the year?
You can pay it at the end of the year, depending on where you're at. If you're a big corporation, a C Corp, that's where we're gonna go into the C Corp. If you're a big C Corp, then they say quarterly. If you're an S Corp or if you're a sole proprietor and you're not making a huge amount of sales, you can do it once a year. You know. As a barbershop, you can do it once a year. You know, I think if you're selling, you know, $400,000 or $500,000 a year, then you might want to make it quarterly because it makes it easier for you to pay. Okay? All right, so you have your resale license. You applied it with the Board of Equalization. What's next?
State board establishment.
Okay, so now you're gonna apply with State Board. And you're gonna apply for your establishment license. Okay, so you're gonna apply with State Board and you're gonna apply for their establishment license. You're gonna do this at this point before you apply with the city and stuff like that, because number one, it's only $50 for you to apply for it, okay? So when you apply it, you can print it out online, and it's only $50. You're gonna fill out the application, and you're gonna send it in with a $50 paycheck, right? You send it in, State Board takes sometimes a while for them to reply back with your license. They're not gonna come and do an inspection, they're not gonna do anything, all they're gonna do is process your paperwork, right? You send the application along with your DBA, and your lease, and they'll send you back an establishment license, okay? But it can take up to a month and a half, or maybe even more, for you to get that license back. The only problem is that if you wait for that till the end, let's say you go through the business license, you get your resale, you get everything, and you're ready to open doors, and then you apply for a state board. State board shows up 2-3 days later after you opened up, you don't have an establishment license, they close you down. You know, so you don't wanna risk that. Send in your establishment license so that you can have a little bit of time while you're doing your business license for it to process. Okay? We got our state board license, what's next?
Business license?
So now we're going into our city business license. Okay? This one, you're gonna do it where? At City Hall. And how much is this one?
50 to 500.
So your city business license, it goes based on city. Some cities can charge as low as $250 to process. Some cities can go up to $500 to process. It depends the city you're in, okay? Long Beach right now charges $420, I believe, to process your application. Southgate is $330. Downey is Downey was actually a little bit cheaper. Downey was like $280, I think, $240. You know, so it goes based on the city. Okay? Every city charges a different amount, but it can be anything from $250 to $500 to process your business license. Okay? Business license means that you're gonna go apply to the city hall, and you're gonna tell them, I'm gonna open a business here, and they do all the paperwork for you. Okay? Now, what else do you need?
How many people can fit in the building?
Certificate of occupancy, right? So a lot of times when you apply with your business license, they also include it. On some cities, they don't. You have to go to the fire department and apply for their own personal certificate of occupancy, right? A certificate of occupancy pretty much just means how many people can legally fit in that building, right? You guys walk into a restaurant, usually you see that sign, max capacity is, you know, whatever amount. So that's the fire department that decides that. They're the ones that decide whether the amount of square footage, how many exits there is, you know, stuff like that is what they determine by how many people can fit in a building legally. Okay? And that's your certificate of occupancy. Usually, this one's included with your business license, but they might charge you extra, or they might have you go to the fire department for that. It's up to the city hall which one they're gonna pick. Okay? Any questions? Okay, so in order for you to open your business, you need your DBA, which is your fictitious name. You need to clear out zoning. You need to get your resale license. You need to make sure your lease is done. You need to go to state, or need to apply with state board and get your establishment license. At the end, you're gonna go to your business license and make sure that they also include your certificate of occupancy. Okay? If you're able to get all of those, your business will be in good standing. Okay? One thing I always tell everybody too at the end of the day is make sure that you guys get your get a business protection plan. You know, your insurance. You know, get some type of insurance to protect your business. I've known 2 people that the barbershop got burned down. And because they had insurance, they gave them the amount of money that they needed to reopen within a month. You know, imagine if, like, let's say you don't have any insurance and everybody's machines, equipment, chairs, stations, everything gets burned down. You just had a humongous loss. We're talking about $20,000 to $30,000 loss, plus all your equipment from your employees. You know, have some protection. You know, it's not a lot as well. Sometimes we at the barbershop, we pay $45 a month. You know, it's cheap. We pay $45 a month. And our barbershop is protected up to I believe it's $500,000 in instruments, and you know, so it's a good protection. You know, we're through Infinity, which is not a bad insurance as well. So if you want to make sure you have some type of protection, protect the people that are inside of you. You know, as the owner, make sure that they have protection. You know, in case, and I'm telling you because one of the barbershops was in South Central, The girl was actually going to the school to get her license, and her boyfriend or her husband owned the barber shop. And it's funny because she came and she was all crying, sad, and she was like, man, Omar, they burned our barber shop down. And I was like, are you serious? They found a videotape, recording where they showed a guy, he was like on the hoodie, went up to the front, broke the glass, had a bottle with a little thing to lit it, and just throw it inside, and just ran out. And I'm like, obviously it was done intentionally. And I told her, well, what happened? She's like, nobody knows. It could have been a client that got mad, a client that got skipped, Maybe you skipped the wrong person, or maybe you gave the wrong person the wrong haircut. It could be one thing, something small, You might be dealing with crazy people, But it could be something really small that can trigger that person. I told her, look, it could have been something so dumb as you skipped somebody, and that person went home, he's drinking, he's probably high, he's probably doing this, or he's probably on drugs, and he doesn't even realize what he's doing. And he went over there and, messed up everybody's life. Because now you have 6, 7 barbers that can't work for a good amount of time.
House calls.
Luckily, again, all their tools were in there. So now they gotta go spend $300, $400 to buy their tools again. Luckily they had insurance. And she was able, they gave her a check for whatever amount of money that they felt that was in there. And they opened up a couple businesses down, And they were open again within a month. But she was like, imagine, Omar, if I didn't have insurance, I would have had to come up out of pocket again. Another $30,000. Plus all the equipment for my employees.
You have Wi-Fi at the top?
Did they have Wi-Fi?
No, do you have it?
Yes and no. Yes, we have it, but it doesn't work all the time, so.
Yeah.
Under the table.
It's under the table Wi-Fi.
You have cable?
We have cable.
5 years.
Yeah, we do have cable though.
Spectrum.
No pasa nada ahí.
Under the table, under the table cable as well. I'm Mexican, so we have everything under the table, So, and these are the things that you guys want to get, situated before anything, okay? I'm going to go ahead and cover the last part, which is going to be corporations. And then we're going to talk a little bit about promotion and marketing before you guys go on break.
It's weekly rent, though, right?
Huh?
Weekly rent?
What?
Your shop?
Yes. Okay, so now we're talking about corporations. What are LLCs? Limited liability. Limited liability corporation, right? LLC. Everybody that's in a corporation is considered to be an LLC, because that means, what is the whole purpose of having a corporation? What's the purpose of it?
So that you don't go bankrupt, like the company does.
You could go bankrupt.
Protect yourself.
Exactly. It's protection, right? It's protection. A corporation is another body standing in front of you to take the hits when something goes wrong, right? That's what a corporation is. A corporation is something that's going to protect you, your personal assets, right? Let's say Sanji opens up a barbershop. I walk into Sanji's barbershop and I slip and I fall because he washed the floor down, but he never put a sign, right? I slip and I fall and I sue him. If Sanji is the sole ownership of that, everything that he owns is liable for it. So if Sanji owns a house and he owns cars and he has a big bank account and he has all this stuff, I can come after everything that he owns. Because him as being a sole ownership, he's saying, I'm responsible for this business. Hopefully he has good insurance that can cover a big percentage of that. But like, let's say if I turn around and I sue him because I'm not going to be able to work for the rest of my life. I crack my back and I can't work for the rest of my life. And I'm going to sue him for $2 million. But his protection only covers him $500,000. Then Sanji's liable for $1.5 million. Now I can come after him for his houses, his money, we can go into his bank account, we can do whatever we need to, the lawyer can do whatever they need to, and take away everything and leave Sanji dry. Take him back to driving his Corolla again. You know? What was it, 19
So 98 was 98.
1998 Corolla again.
Sexy
you know?
98.
A sexy 98 Corolla.
Said that.
Which is for sale. If anybody wants a car, a cheap car, you know, Sanji's selling his car. 800?
Yeah.
$800.
Dang.
600. I'll get
Six hundred. Can I get 700? 700. Anybody? 700?
I give you 400.
It's a reliable car.
That won't make change.
Alright, so we'll talk about this later. But if anybody's interested, he's selling a car. So if he does that coverage, you know, we're going after him. We're going after everything that he owns. And this is where a corporation comes in. If he, let's say he does have a corporation, and he started a Sanji Incorporated, right? And Sanji Incorporated is actually the owner of the barbershop. Then I can come after Sanji Incorporated and take whatever Sanji Incorporated has, but I can't touch his assets. I can't touch his house, I can't touch his bank account, I can't touch his cars, I can't touch any of that because Sanji is not the owner. The owner is Sanji Incorporated,
How much is that thing?
okay? We're gonna tell you right now. So a corporation can come in handy for that, right? Another thing too is like, for example, Supercuts, right? Supercuts eventually became a humongous corporation. Eventually it became something where they have a bunch of stores. So what can they do? They can start what is called franchising. They can start selling stocks. They can start doing all that stuff. The only way you're gonna be able to do that is through having a corporation. Sanji can never be stocks, him as a sole ownership, right? He needs to become a corporation for it to become its own identity and can be shared as stocks, okay? So a corporation can come in really handy. How much is a corporation? Don't scream at me, everybody.
800?
Relax.
Was it
800. It takes $800 for you to build your own corporation. If you guys go through LegalZoom, you can register a corporation, do everything, and I think it comes out to about $800 and something dollars. Okay?
Are there any cons to it?
Yearly, right?
Cons or?
Yeah, because you're talking about all the pros, are there any cons?
You're paying $800 a year?
That's it?
Yeah. In reality, yeah. There's just more of what it is like the only thing bad about it too is that you gotta stay up with it as well. So you gotta, you know, once a year you gotta file your, it's called statement of facts, meaning the statement of information. Means that you're letting the state know every year if anything changes. If you don't file it, they can cancel it, suspend it. You gotta do, every year pay your taxes with your, well, not a, it's a franchise fee for having a corporation, which is another $800 a year. If you don't pay those $800, then, you know, they'll suspend you as well. But other than that, there's not really that much difference.
Where do you get that?
This one you can get it through, if you know somebody that does legal work, like I know somebody that does legal work, if you guys want to, I can, well, I think I gave you the number last time.
What's that?
That person does corporations as well. If you have somebody that knows it, that you can trust, I would recommend you guys to do it through them. If you don't, you can go through LegalZoom. LegalZoom is a pretty, I did a one corporation, well actually the one from here, I did it through LegalZoom. But what I did is I actually had another corporation, which was Mozilla Enterprises. When I was doing the other academy, I was doing everything through that. So that one, I actually went to somebody and they built the whole corporation for me. So what I did is I paid them, of course, you know, a fee for doing it. This time, since I already had that one, I was able to kind of like mock it and build my own corporation for here through LegalZoom. So I saved myself that fee, but that was only because I already had gone through it once and I just redid everything they did, you know. So you can do that as well. So a corporation, again, it's only $800 to build it. And it's gonna help you out, it's gonna protect it. Yes, you do have your $800 a year to pay for it, which for some people, I mean, honestly, like, it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but some barbers don't wanna pay $300 a year for taxes, you know? So for some people, it seems like a lot of money.
And does that go under the business name or under your name?
No, that goes under, a corporation will be a different entity as well. So for example, my corporation's name is Master Barber Academy. My DBA is Master Academy. So now when I register, for example, now that I have this business, my lease is Master Barber Academy owns the lease to this one and is doing business as Master Academy, right? So there's three names. There's my name, which saying, somebody has to sign at the end. So they put my name as the president of the corporation. And then there's Master Barber Academy, which is the corporation, the body. And then there's doing business as, which is my fictitious name. Okay.
¿Y eso quiere decir que también puedes vender acciones?
Ahorita vamos a cubrir eso. Okay.
Quiero una.
Okay, so now we have two types of corporations. We have what is called an S Corp and C Corp. What's the difference between the two? Anybody know?
How much taxes do you pay?
Number one reason is taxation, right? The percentage of taxes and the amount of taxes makes a humongous difference, right? But there's also benefits and there's losses as well. So I'll give you a quick example. Number one thing, when you guys become a corporation, you're automatically always going to be a C Corp. You don't get to choose. You automatically become a C Corp. If you want to change it to an S Corp, you have to submit a form, a letter, and a statement saying why you belong in an S Corp. Why is that? Because taxes are a lot higher as a C Corp. So of course the government wants you to start off as a C Corp. Okay? What are the benefits of being in a C Corp? Number one thing is there's no limit of stocks, shareholders, right? As a shareholder, let's say Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola is a C Corp. Why? Because they have probably millions, I don't know how much, but they have millions of shareholders. They're able to sell their stocks to as many people as they want. You guys realize how stocks work? How shareholders work?
You pay money to the stocks and then that money goes to the company and you can sell it.
Exactly. So let's say I decide Master Academy is going to be up for grabs now, and I'm going to start selling shares. A lot of companies do that to get money to reinvest in their company. So for example, I start selling shares, right? And I tell Lilia, I'm like, Lilia, I'll sell you 500 shares at $10 a piece. And you're like, okay, I'll take it. She's going to send me a check for buying those shares. In reality, she doesn't really own the business. She just owns a percentage of the value of the business, right? So that's what it is. They own a percentage of the value of the business. The more valuable my business becomes, the higher her percentage is going to be worth, right? That's how stocks work. That's how shareholding works. You're investing money into that company, hoping that it goes up in value so that your shares can be worth a lot more money, right? And that company is receiving money from all these people buying the shares to reinvest into it or to waste it. It's up to them, you know? It's up to the company in reality how they use that money from the shareholders. Okay? Most companies want to use it to invest it to make their companies worth more, of course, you know? Okay, so as a C Corp, there's limitless amount of shareholders, right? As an S Corp, you're limited to 75. So you can only have 75 max people to be able to buy shares into your company. After that, you're not allowed to sell shares no more. So you only have a limit of 75 people that can invest in your company. So if you in your mind know that this company is something that's going to be humongous and you're going to want to sell a lot of shares to get a lot of money coming in, then you want to stay in the C Corp. You're going to pay higher taxes, but you can have a lot more money coming in, more investors coming in. Okay? All right, let's talk about taxes. The S Corp, no, let's talk C Corp. The C Corp right now is taxed at, there's two, and C Corps there's two times that's gonna get taxed. Number one, the corporation is gonna pay taxes, and number two, you're gonna pay taxes as the owner of the corporation, because you're gonna get what's the remaining of it, okay? So let's say an example, the corporation made 100,000 or $100. Let's just keep it simple. We made $1,000, right? Corporation made $1,000. Right now, C Corp is taxed at 8.4. What is it? 8.84%. That's the tax bracket where it's at right now. C corps are taxed at 8.84% of the money coming in, right? So what's 8% of $1,000? 88? Okay. So $88, you're gonna get paid, the corporation pays $88 in taxes to the government. Then you have 917? 912 left that you're gonna take home. So now you're gonna be taxed again here, your own personal taxes. Because this is what the company made, you pay taxes, which is $88, that gets deducted. The balance that you're gonna take home is $912, and then here, you're gonna pay your own personal taxes again. Okay? S Corp works a different way. S Corp, you make $1,000, and you pay your interest, which is what? 1.5%. What's 1.5% of $1,000? $15. So compare this to this, it's a big difference. So as an S Corp, you're only paying 1.5%, right? And then the rest of it is gonna be for you. And then you pay from there. So the S Corp, it gets taxed at a way lower rate than a C Corp. So most people that have a small corporation always want to switch from one to the other. Okay? Now, one of the things that I realized, well, now that I've been more into like finding out information about corporations and stuff like that, is I realized that more than 70% of people stay as a C Corp their whole life because they have no idea that they could ever get into an S Corp. Most people, when you apply as to become a corporation, they leave it like that. And they're paying way more higher taxes for the ability to do something that in reality is not gonna happen to stay in a C Corp.
You can always go back and forth from the other, one or the other.
No, once you switch over to an S Corp, you stay as an S Corp. If you wanna go back to a C Corp, you have to apply again, but then they limit you from ever coming back to an S Corp.
So then you have to pay taxes for as a corporation and as the actual business as well.
Yes. As a, because for example, it gets passed down to always to what's called a K9. K9 is what the person is gonna take home. So for example, here, we have an S Corp, right? We do our taxes and it's 250,000 came in. There was this much in expenses, so the corporation made 100,000. Out of 100,000, they gets taxed at 1.5% for the S Corp, and then the remaining balance gets passed on to us, and we get it as a K9. K9 is kind of like a corporation W-2, saying how much money you make, or a 1099. Okay.
Isn't the C Corp max out at 800 though?
Well, yeah, they're both maxed out at that 800, as in, no, 800 is just your franchise tax fee.
No, but
Yeah.
in the C Corp.
Oh no, this one can go thousands and thousands of dollars. Yeah, if you made $1 million, and let's say in sales, and let's say you're taxed at 8 point something %, you're paying like $200,000, $150,000. That's why these huge corporations like Coca-Cola and all, they pay probably millions of dollars in taxes as a C Corp. Yeah. Your max for franchise tax fees is $800 a year. And that's just for you to keep active as a franchise, as a corporation. Okay, so coverage-wise, it's exactly the same thing. Coverage-wise, they both protect you the same way. They both have the same thing. They're both limited liability corporations. It's just taxation where it changes. So when you guys do build a corporation, you want to make sure that as soon as you can, switch it over to an S Corp. You know, if eventually you're going to become millionaires and you're going to start selling a bunch of stocks and shareholders and stuff like that, then you might want to go to a C Corp. It's going to be taxed a little bit higher, but you're going to have a lot more money coming in as well anyways. You know. Okay? Any questions about this? No? Okay. One last thing before you guys go. I know you guys are tired. we're gonna be talking, I wanna just cover really quick, we just finished our business week. So what I wanna talk to you guys a little bit about is just gonna be promotion and marketing. Honestly, promotion and marketing is probably gonna be one of the most important tools that you guys have in any business. You have to promote yourself. One thing I always tell everybody is, don't wait until you become a business to learn how to promote and market. I think right now, since all of you guys are gonna be independent, you guys are all gonna be licensed professionals. One thing I always tell everybody is like, remember, the state of California, once they give you a license to operate, you're considered a business, okay? So you have to do taxes first of all. If you guys don't report any taxes using your barber license or cosmetology license in 2 years or more, they'll send you a letter to your house saying, hey, we know you have a state license, why haven't you done any taxes in the last 2 years? Okay? And you have to reply to them and figure out why, because if not, they'll cancel your license. Yes?
Can I work at home in my house?
Yes, but at the end of the year, you're still gonna report taxes.
Okay.
So you're still reporting taxes as a licensed professional, okay? So, one thing I want, one thing I want you guys to understand, this one thing that we were talking about in the morning classes, my feeling about this is, I feel like every person needs to be responsible for their own promotion. You as a barber, you as a licensed barber, you are the one that are responsible. One thing I want you guys to remember is like, for example, if I work in a barber shop, right, and I'm telling you because we get this a lot, I get this a lot as the owner, you know, people come in, they're like, man, Omar, it's slow. Man, it's slow. You know, barbers complain a lot about that. Man, it's slow, there's no walk-ins. But yet they don't do anything to bring in their own clientele. Honestly, I tell everybody all the time, I'm like, look, if you work in a barber shop and there's at least one barber that's always busy, then everything else is everybody else's fault. Why? Because that one barber is doing something right. That one barber is using the same chair that you're using, is in the same building that you're working in. Their clients walk in through the same entrance as your clients. They have the same waiting area. They're using the same restroom. So what is the difference between that barber being busy and you're not busy? It's you. You're the problem. It's not the location, because if one barber, I understand if everybody is slow and nobody's making money, then as the barbershop owner needs to take responsibility and say, okay, we gotta change something. But if there's at least one barber making money and bringing in a bunch of clients, then nobody else has the right to complain. That's the way I see it. Because it is my responsibility to make sure that I do what I gotta do to bring in clientele. You know, that's why you got into this business, because you wanted people, you didn't want a boss. You didn't want somebody telling you what to do. Most people get into this industry because they're tired of clocking in, clocking out, and having somebody telling them how to do their job.
Yes.
You know, that's number one reason why people become a barber, because they're tired of that.
Yes.
But that comes in with responsibility as well. You are now responsible to promote your own business, which is yourself. You need to be out there, you need to promote, you need to market yourself. You know, I tell people, everywhere you go, you need to carry business cards with you. I print out, I'm not lying to you, I print out about 5,000 to 6,000 business cards a year with my name on it from the academy, not including the academy ones. My personal business cards. I print out about 5,000 to 6,000 business cards a year, and I make sure that I pass them out everywhere that I go. It doesn't matter where you're at. Sometimes I'm waiting in the line at a bank. No, I'll go to Chase, go deposit or withdraw. I'm in line. Hey, how you doing? Look, there's a business card. If you guys ever know anybody that wants to go to college, you know, if you guys know anybody that wants to go to become a barber, you know, it could be an old señora in the front of me. You're like, dile señora, si conoce a alguien que quiera ser barbero.
Yeah.
Her grandson can be one of those people. You know, her daughter might be like, Mom, I want to go to beauty school, and here I come, boom. And I gave her the card. Don't ever assume somebody doesn't need a card. That's the biggest mistake that we have. Is you look at somebody like, oh, he just got a haircut, he don't need my business card. Doesn't work like that. That person could have just barely gotten a haircut. Maybe he's looking for a barber. He walked into any barber shop and he just got a haircut, but he's looking for a barber. Maybe he just moved in from out of town. You know, and I'm gonna come up to be like, hey, you know what? I see you just got a fresh haircut. Here's my card, man. If your barber's ever busy, let me know. You know, I'm never gonna be one of those people that's gonna put down another barber. That's the one thing. We gotta respect each other. Okay? So I'm not gonna come up to be like, damn, Sanjay, your lineup is messed up, man. Like, let me give you my card. I won't do that. That's not me. You know? What I'm gonna come and I'm gonna give him a second choice. I'm gonna be like, look, if your barber's ever busy, here's my card. Give me a call, you know? And what's gonna happen eventually, if he's looking for a barber, he's gonna give me a call. If his barber is busy, he's gonna give me a call. I'm gonna be his second choice, and he's gonna keep that business card on there, okay? So don't ever come up to somebody and be like, oh man, your lineup is messed up, or you're this and that. Honestly, this is the thing about it, you don't even know that person probably did their own lineup. You know, imagine Sanji just cut his own hair and he's all proud because he's learning how to cut his own lineup, and I'm going, man, your lineup is messed up, but here's my card. He's gonna be upset, you know, because in his heart, you know, he did a good job, you know. So I just feel like anywhere you go, you guys go to a car wash, you know, that's one thing I was telling people in the morning. Go to a car wash. There's gonna be, go on a Saturday, take your car to get washed. You know, there's gonna be 15 people, and mostly guys, sitting there. I'm one of those. You know, somebody comes up to you like, here's my card, here's my card, here's my card. Make sure you guys have your Instagram on your business card. Give it to them. How many of you guys take your car to get washed? You guys don't take your car to get washed? I take my car to get washed, right? When we go to a car wash, when I go to a car wash, I'm sitting there for about an hour to an hour and a half with nothing to do. You know, I'm sitting there in the bench, I'm watching a novela that they put on the TV. You know, for an hour and a half, I go through my Facebook and I keep refreshing because I've seen those stories already. I have nothing to do for an hour and a half. That's a perfect time to give somebody a business card. Because they're gonna sit there and they're gonna look at that business card from head to toes, and they're gonna go into your Instagram, they're gonna look at your haircuts, and at that point they might make a decision to go with you. You know, Starbucks, go up to the tables like, hey, you know, here's my card. Hey, here's my card. You need to approach people.
Actually, everywhere.
You know, anywhere that you go. I go to Walmart, I go to Target. When I was cutting hair, especially at the beginning, when you need clients. You know, you go to Target, you see a lady with 5 kids, like, hey, you know, here's my card. You know, she could bring all 5 of them. That's a lot of people already walking in. Go to Target, go to Walmart, Starbucks, at the post office, at Chase, at 7-Eleven while you're waiting in line. Anywhere that you go, you can bring clients back with you. It's up to you how you want to promote yourself. I just feel like at this point of age, especially when we have Instagram, when we have Facebook, when we have Snap, when we have all these abilities to promote ourselves for free, there's absolutely no reason why somebody shouldn't have clients.
How long you
I
been
just
a
don't
barber?
see it. Huh?
How long you been a barber?
I've been a barber for 15 years. You know. I'm a senior to some,
So
a
you
newborn
still
for someone
do
else.
it?
Huh?
You still doing it or you just?
I do it for the
continue?
academy.
Okay.
And look how busy the academy is. You know, we just paid, I was telling people, we just paid $2,700 to be at ISSC. We were the only academy there. There was no other academies.